Is there a way to end suffering, do you think?
In our lives, you don't want to.
Why not?
Because you'll stop growing. Yeah, you'll stop growing. I believe, and I don't really understand why, Lewis, but I believe there's something fundamentally broken in the nature of the world. It's easy to not think that if you live in America, but leave the country for a little bit.
Right. A lot of things are broken.
Go through Uganda, go through Iraq. There's something fundamentally broken in the world. So I don't think in this world you're going to get away from suffering. And then there's also just something fundamentally broken in our hearts, right? Because we need more than we are capable of getting. And so there's a deficiency in all of us. And so for us to say, gosh, this hurts, let me turn around and help other people not have to experience pain as much. Those are the very people that we call heroes. That's the characteristic. And so without suffering, you have no opportunity to be a hero. Without pain, there's no story. Without conflict, there's no story. Right. So let me tell you a story.
Yeah.
A buddy of mine, he lives here in LA, he loves to play volleyball.
Okay.
And he gets a call, and he says, hey, come down to the beach. We're playing volleyball. All your buddies are here. Let's go. He's like, can't believe this. Walks out, looks down, sees his buddies playing volleyball down at the beach. Goes down, starts playing volleyball with them. They play a few games. Each game ends in a tie. Then somebody says, well, I'm hungry. He says, yeah, it's Tuesday. It's Taco Tuesday. Let's go to the taco truck. They go to taco. They get some brisket tacos. They get some fish. Is this story interesting? No. You're sitting there going, okay, when is this story going to get started?
Right.
What you're actually saying is, where's the problem?
Oh.
So without the problem, there is no story. So let's say my buddy gets a call. They're playing volleyball down the beach. He walks down the beach. He's looking down at them, and an earthquake hits.
Oh,
the ground opens up. Half his friends fall into. Now we got a story.
Right.
So until there is a challenge in your life, or until you actually engage or even dream up a challenge, I'm going to run a marathon. I'm going to ask this girl out. I'm going to start a business. I'm going to write a book. I'm going to lose 100 pounds. Until you say that's something I don't think I can do, but I'm going to try. Your life is boring.
Wow.
But what do? We seek comfort. We actually run the opposite direction. Mm-hmm. And so once we engage this idea that suffering it actually benefits us, it transforms us, and it's good, all of life suddenly has this different perspective. I have a morning ritual with Emmeline. Mm-hmm. She's 6 months old. For the last 6 months, I'm the guy who gets her out of bed, changes the diaper, and does the first bottle. Because Betsy's got to do some mom things, and it's best if Betsy eats breakfast and I can hand her off and I go write. So I've pushed back my writing hour by 1 hour so that I can do this. And every morning, almost without fail, Emmeline and I walk to the front door and we greet the day. We open the door, we step out on the porch, and we point out 3 or 4 things that are beautiful. That's it. We just go, light on the hills, those leaves are moving. June Carter, our dog, is chasing a squirrel. That's hilarious.
That's cool.
Snow on the fence, whatever it is. And some days, it's just completely gray. And it's actually a bit challenging for me.
What's beautiful?
I was kind of going, there's no light on the hills, there's no snow. And what I say to Emmeline is I say, Emmeline, how beautiful is it that today is going to make tomorrow special?
Ooh, that's cool.
Right? And so even the hurt, the suffering that we feel is even a bad relationship. I would not be so grateful for my wife if I had not had my heart broken. I just wouldn't.
Yeah.
And so pain actually serves us tremendously.
That's something I talk about with my girlfriend where I was just like, I'm so glad that I went through all these challenges because I really value the peace, the love, the acceptance that you bring.
The lack of drama.
There's no drama. No drama, man.
All right, I don't want to say it on camera, but marry the woman.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Lock that down.
Man, it's crazy that he, and I always felt like I was, and I take full responsibility because I chose the relationships and I stayed in the relationships. So it's,
but you're learning.
Nothing wrong with the people. It just wasn't the right alignment. But I kept thinking to myself, man, I feel like I'm running at like a 6 in my life out of 10, like in these specific relationships.
You'll regret that. Yeah.
And I was just like, man, I feel like it's holding me back from my mission, from my health. And they aren't doing it. I'm doing it by staying. So I needed to learn how to heal and move on, which was an amazing journey. But it's...
I think you're just getting started.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
I think what you've found now is what you're actually going to build on. Mm-hmm. That's the foundation. And, you know, Betsy and I kind of made an agreement when we got married. We said, hey, let's leave the drama outside of this house. You and I will go out and face the drama.
Hey,
but
back
the
here?
energy that I want to spend changing the world can't be wasted on each other in fights.
Can't be.
It just can't be.
And I'm so glad that she's in alignment with that.
You and your wife are either going to have a mission, or she's going to be the mission and you're going to be the mission.
Gosh, there's so many marriages I feel like that have drama, and it's like you're constantly working on the marriage to fix something.
No. Yeah.
Isn't that true? I
Would
mean,
you rather change the world than change your wife?
yes,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
A lot of women feel that way about their husbands.
right?
Yeah.
What needs to happen in order for people in relationships, whether they're married or not, to get out of drama and into peaceful experiences and move into their energy into the world as opposed to stressing about the relationship? What do you think needs to happen? Because so many marriages and relationships are struggling.
Yeah. I don't think two people should spend their life metaphorically looking into each other's eyes. I think they should be shoulder to shoulder looking at something to do. Mm-hmm. And I think what so many relationships are missing is a story. We are going to start a business. We are going to start a grocery store where we give away the food to people for free. We are going to build a retreat center. We are going to write a book together. We are going, stop this, because this isn't what life is about. What we need is a partner, a group protagonist. What a family is a group protagonist story. And what a story has to have is an objective, something hard to do.
To overcome or to do?
To
or,
overcome or to accomplish. And then here's the next dangerous part. When you overcome it and you accomplish it, if you don't get another story started, you're going to hit what Viktor Frankl calls the existential vacuum. It's a narrative void. It's a blank screen that I'm looking at and nothing is happening.
What's
on
the
screen.
meaning? What am I supposed to be doing in my life now? Yeah.
When I read Viktor Frankl's book, I'd ridden, about 10 of us rode our bicycles from Los Angeles to Delaware.
Wow.
We did it one summer.
How long did that take?
Partly how I'd lost weight. It took 7 weeks.
Wow.
And so we did that. And I'd lived enough stories, written some books and kind of, that I knew once we got to Washington, D.C., we had one more day. You can cross Delaware in a day. It's about 75 miles from D.C. And I knew, man, 2 weeks from now, I'm going to be clinically depressed.
Because you have no mission next.
Well, not only that, but we're eating 7,000 to 10,000 calories a day. Our bodies are completely jacked up. They're just screwed up. We're with each other. We're giggling and laughing. We're experiencing pain every day. We're doing, it's a story. And as soon as the story's over, I realized I'm going to be sitting in the theater. And I picked up Viktor Frankl's book in the Holocaust Museum because, he was a survivor of the Holocaust. I picked it up and I read it on the flight home. And basically that book screamed at me, get involved in another story now. Right. Do not go home and sit down.
Yeah. Well, maybe take 3 days to recover your body, but then start planning.
Yeah, for me it was about 3 weeks.
And start planning the next story.
Start planning the next story. And so what I did was I got a call saying, Dom, will you come do a little prayer at the Democratic National Convention? Well, I'm a Republican. And I said, yeah, I'll do it. I went in, and I'd known about Barack Obama. He was a senator. He had some great fatherlessness legislation. And to the group there, I said, hey, listen, what's he going to do on fatherhood? And they outlined this whole plan. I said, can I go around the country and just say what this man's going to do if he's elected president on one of our critical issues in this country? They said yes. So I just became a surrogate speaker. There were about 3 of us. We basically lived in our cars and changed into suits and in airports, and I would fly back between all the swing states. And I was doing it partly because I wanted this guy to be president. He's a pretty moderate, reasonable guy. He actually did some great things. But I was also doing it because I didn't want to have an existential vacuum. I needed something exciting to involve myself in. And it worked. And while I was on the campaign trail, I'm getting text messages from friends who are on the trip saying, I've never been so depressed. And I don't know what to do. And
you guys on the bike trip?
Exactly. Yeah. Do you guys want to meet in Delaware and ride back across the Delaware? And so I think a lot of people who are listening to this conversation and they're feeling like their life is going nowhere, I would say to you, get yourself involved in a story. If you don't have a mission, find somebody with a mission and join them.
And get involved.
How
many parts to a story are there? And what are the parts?
Well, the basic story is a character that wants something and overcomes conflict to get it. That's it. Right? Luke wants to destroy the Death Star, has to overcome his own insecurities and physical inadequacies in order to learn to be a Jedi in order to destroy the Death Star. That's it. King George wants to overcome a stutter because he's been saddled with the kingship of UK. He has to overcome that stutter with Lionel, the drama teacher, in order to give the final speech.
Yeah.
That's every single story you can imagine. Now, the key is you can pause any good movie and say, what does the hero want? And if the audience can't answer, you got a bad movie. So if I were to look at your life and pause it and say, what does Lewis want? And we don't know. And to be honest, Lewis doesn't know. Lewis is having a bad life experience.
Wow.
And he will tell you so.
If you don't know what you want.
If you can't identify. Remember I said earlier, I want three things. I want Goose Hill to operate as a family home. I want Business Made Simple to be taught in universities.
Build the middle class.
And I want Build the Middle Class. If you pause Don's life, there are he's involved in 3 stories. So there's zero chance for an existential vacuum if you're involved in
So if you don't know what you want, what happens?
If you don't know what you want, or if you have not joined a movement that wants something.
That has a mission.
You have what Viktor Frankl calls an existential vacuum and what I call a narrative void. A lack of story in your life.
And a lack of story is boring.
Not only a lack of story is boring, a lack of story is dangerous.
Ooh.
Because you're standing around on set and the other actors are doing something and you have no role to play here. It's extremely dangerous. It's going to lead to a mental health breakdown. So the key is to get something going that I call narrative traction. And narrative traction happens when you become interested in your own life again. And the only way you can get narrative traction and become interested in your own life is to actually set an objective before you, which opens a story question. Will Don be able to run the marathon? Will the company be able to make a profit this year? Will the woman of my dreams marry me? Will we be able to finish this book? If there is no story question in your life, you have no narrative traction and you're going to end up in an existential void.
How do you define what you want if you don't know? What if you're like, well, I don't know what I want? Or I have so many ideas, I want these 10 different things.
Okay, well that's another lesson right there. If you want 10 different things, your movie's not going to work out. If Jason Bourne wants to know who he really is and also lose 30 pounds and also marry the girl and also adopt a cat, but he wants to do it ethically because he travels a lot, we have ruined the movie. We have absolutely ruined the movie. And so there are a lot of people who are stimulation junkies. They just want to be stimulated. So if you just want to be stimulated, that's not if you went to a movie about somebody who just wanted to be stimulated, so they're getting drunk, they're getting laid, they're doing all this kind of stuff, and you watch that movie, you would be watching a movie that was hopeless. You would be saying, I feel so sorry for this guy, right? But when that person says, this is meaningless, what I actually want to do is be an entrepreneur and build a business and prove to my dad that I really didn't have to go to college. Now we got a story. Now we got a story. But you've got to write that down and you've got to put together a plan and pursue it every day. If you choose too many things, the story is hard to follow, and it'll be hard for you to follow.
How many things can we choose in a year?
In a year? Well, I think...
Can we have like a health story? My health story this year is going to be this, my business story, and then my family relationship story. Is that too much?
No, you just said it. The answer is 3.
3.
Yeah, so the human brain loves 3. I don't know why it loves 3. I'm sure there's been some studies. 4 might also work. 5 won't work. We've over and over, even in sales, if you give people 3 options, they'll choose one. If you give them 4, they'll choose slightly less. If you give them 5, they won't choose any. So the brain can really prioritize about 3 things.
In a month, in a year, in a how long?
Well, I wouldn't put a timeline on it.
Okay.
I would just say, these are the 3 things that I want to do. When one of them is done, you retire that story and you plug in another one.
Interesting.
And I really like the whole health, relationships, career.
Yeah, me too.
I like that trinity.
It's in Rory Vaden, our friend, has a book called Procrastinate on Purpose.
Yeah.
He's like, you might have a lot of goals and dreams, but what is the most important thing that you want to do right now? And then kind of put these on the back burner, procrastinate it until you accomplish the main thing, and then the next thing.
I 100% agree with that. In fact, there's a planner in the back of the book, and in the back of the book there's a daily planner. It's actually a morning ritual that you fill out, and you identify your top 3 priorities, and then there's literally another line that says secondary tasks.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to confuse picking up the dry cleaning with working on the book.
Right.
Go with wrinkled clothes, but don't not finish the book.
Do the main thing first. Yeah, exactly.
Brain has a very difficult time telling the difference between fiction and nonfiction, and so you can tell the brain some really absurd stuff that actually just makes no sense. But it's very hard for somebody's brain to, once they hear the story feels really entertaining and really clean. Therefore, it's got to be true, right? Oh, true.
And it takes probably a long time to make it untrue.
It takes a long time to unravel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.